Your Excellency, I'm not wearing 2 watches because I'm flashy. I'm flashy, but not because of wearing 2 watches. This watch here is our Tap to Eat school feeding application. All our children in Nairobi are wearing this watch. We're using technology. We know how many children are eating every day, the quantity of food they're taking, the content, and we can tell that they've paid through technology, and we want to use more of this technology in partnership with AWS. We believe that our partnership will help us achieve these ambitions. We don't take it for granted that you chose Nairobi. You could have chosen any other part of the continent. Thank you for being in Nairobi. We look forward to many more years of partnership with you, AWS, in supporting the county, local businesses, and creating job opportunities. Your Excellency, as I go to conclude, a few years ago when I was a senator for Nairobi, I had visited Silicon Savannah, Palo Alto, and I was giving a speech at the Institute for the Future. And somebody there asked me, how is it that we're seeing so much innovation coming out of Kenya and out of Nairobi? And I told them, the world today is a small global village. Our young people in Nairobi are not competing with people in Machakos. The technology, the tools that are available are the same. So while they might be innovating there for luxury and for shopping, we're innovating to connect families to water. We're innovating to, cash transfer. We're innovating to really, because necessity is the mother of invention. And that is why Kenya can now compete at a global scale. As we think about our education, and I'm glad you've spoken about the TVETs, etc., let us remember, those young people in Kisumu are not being trained to compete with young people in Nairobi, but with young people in Japan, with young people in Germany. We must give them those tools in their hands. And so in the Senate, I sat down, I looked for Twiga, I looked for Cellulant, I looked for Sandy, I looked for these startups that were scaling. Twiga was, I think would have been our first unicorn in Kenya. And I asked them, what is it that government could do for you differently years before for you to get to where you are? And we came up with a startup bill. Your Excellency, the startup bill that time, provided for the risking of some of these investments. The national government or the county cannot invest in these companies, but we need to de-risk the venture capitalists. Kaufman Fellows were here just a few weeks ago and they met you, and many other such fellowships of venture capitalists. Unfortunately, the bill didn't go through because of time, but I'm very happy that through your CS Chelugoi, we've sat down again, we've rejigged that bill. It's unfortunate that when we did the bill, part of those in my team were from Nigeria. They took the bill in Nigeria, they passed it. So Nigeria has a startup act drafted by the governor of Nairobi. And Nairobi does not have a startup legislation because we can really, really incentivize rapidly scalable companies, create a virtual special economic zone. Your Excellency, not all of these people need to come to one place, but you can have a virtual SEZ wherever they are, in their bedrooms, in their houses, and give them those incentives to grow. They will be able to create employment. Of course, we continue to support e-commerce. Your Excellency, you have supported us. We now have our physical addressing and street naming system in Nairobi for e-commerce, for deliveries to be done properly. Finally, I love Amazon. One of the books that I've given every of my executives is a book called Working Backwards. It was written by Colin Breyer and Bill Carr. It talks about the leadership principles and mechanisms that made Amazon scale. Your Excellency, I'll give you a copy. If you look at, not because you need it, you're doing really well, but it's interesting to see how the company grew, from a small operation to the biggest one of the biggest companies in the world by just 14 leadership principles and their mechanisms, the cadences, the kind of meetings they have. And their first principle is 100% obsession with the customer. That is what we're doing in Nairobi. We're saying we must have 100% obsession with the customer, who is the person, the people of Nairobi, the Mwananchi. I'm sure it's a book you'll enjoy because I know you really like reading and you read very quickly. So I'll bring it to you this evening because I also need to see you again. Your Excellency, with those many remarks, Karibuni Nairobi, Amazon. You have a beautiful space. I love how you've done the office. The furniture is local. You're setting a great example for us, just really leveraging on what Kenya has to provide. Anything you ever require, I am right across the door. I'm available for you. Thank you, Excellency. Excellency.